What is up, everybody? It is May 14th, 2026, and we are covering all of the big news today. We have Trump and the Chinese president, President Xi, offering to help broker peace with Iran. We have the Clarity Act, which passed 15-9 today, going to the Senate now for the final approval. Huge, huge news for crypto. And we also have events in the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of news in the Strait of Hormuz. So we're going to be covering it all, and we're also going to be talking about all of the different news on X and all of the most viral clips today, ChudTheBuilder, all of that stuff. We're going to get into it. We're going to look at the viral clips that are going mad in the algorithm and how it's changing the world. So let's dive right in. At the end of the day, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe if you like this information, if it's valuable to you. And without further ado, let's finally dive right in. Live updates. Trump says Chinese leader President Xi offered to help broker peace deal with Iran. Again, this was pretty huge news. U.S. President Donald Trump is in Beijing for a crucial series of meetings with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. Few breakthroughs are expected on divisive issues such as the Iran war, trade, technology, and Taiwan. On Iran, Trump said Xi told him that China wants to help negotiate to end the war and a reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. China is the largest buyer of Iranian oil, and Trump has hoped Xi would use that leverage to prod Iran into a deal on U.S. terms. Trump also said Xi assured him that China wouldn't provide Iran with military equipment. In a closed-door meeting, Xi warned Trump the difference over Taiwan, a self-governed island that Beijing claims as its own territory, could bring the U.S. and China into clashes or conflict. Trump in December authorized an $11 billion arms package for Taiwan, but has not yet moved forward with the delivery. Secretary of State Marco Rubio later warned that it would be a terrible mistake for China to take Taiwan by force. Trump also hopes to focus on the trade deals for China to buy more agricultural products and passenger planes, setting up a board to address their differences and avoid a repeat of the trade war ignited last year after Trump's tariff hikes. So, again, massive news. Donald Trump today. We also have the Strait of Hormuz. Can't forget all about the updates there. Seized ship taken towards Iran as Trump and China Xi agree Strait of Hormuz must remain open. This is today at 5:50 p.m. Not too long ago this was posted. A ship was taken by unknown parties off the coast of the United Arab Emirates near the Strait of Hormuz and was headed towards the Iranian waters, a UK maritime agency said Thursday, after an Indian-flagged vessel was attacked off Oman. It was not clear who attacked the ship. Maybe DevGru, maybe Delta Force, guessing. Maybe the 160th Special Aviation Regiment, same guys on the Venezuela operation, Absolute Resolve. Maybe that's just my guess. The increased tensions around the key waterway came as President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping agreed in Beijing that the strait must remain open and Iran can never have a nuclear weapon, according to a White House readout of their meeting on Thursday. A Hezbollah drone strike wounded several Israeli civilians on Thursday, the Israeli military said, hours before the U.S. brokered talks between Israel and Lebanon began in Washington. So, China is appearing to work with the United States and Trump. So maybe Trump isn't so crazy after all. Maybe he could be commended to some extent if he can get us out of this Iran war, a strategic withdrawal, but allowing us to remain to keep leverage over the Strait of Hormuz. A lot of analysts believe that this is rather good for the United States, and judging by the clips that we're going to see of this event, it seemed to have gone really well, okay? On top of that, we also have the crypto industry scores win as the Clarity Act regulation bill clears the Senate hurdle. The Clarity Act, which would create regulation for the cryptocurrency industry, cleared the Senate Banking Committee. The bill is top legislative priority of the crypto industry as it would add predictable oversight and guardrails to the industry. The measure is opposed by banks, unions, and law enforcement agencies that say various provisions would hurt consumers and endanger financial systems. Hey, listen, don't throw law enforcement into the anti-crypto myths, okay? I am law enforcement, and I think everybody should be invested in crypto. Everybody should be diversified into these new appreciating assets that are going to only grow with time. This is the new Amazon, as CEO of Ripple, which is XRP, Brad Garlinghouse has already said. This is the new Amazon, the new dot-com boom. You need to be invested in the future. And I believe digital assets are going to be the future. Bitcoin, XRP, XLM, Ethereum, ADA Cardano. You're going to have XDC. all these different financial technologies, all these different currencies, and all these proof of work systems, they're going to be huge, especially anything with payments and stable coins. So no, I'm not against crypto as somebody who is law enforcement and also an entrepreneur, a realtor, all of these things. I advise anybody to, again, be diversified in all assets. Okay. So that was pretty big news today. The cryptocurrency industry notched a key win after the Senate panel on Thursday approved the Clarity Act, the first wide-ranging piece of legislation pertaining to the new industry. The Senate Banking Committee largely voted along party lines, 15-9, with Democratic Senators Ruben Gallego of Arizona and Angelina also Brooks of Maryland joining all Republicans on the panel to vote for the bill. The measure has a long way to go before becoming a law, given both powerful opposition and the fact that it would need to clear the full Senate as well as the House before heading to President Donald Trump's desk. During the hearing, both Republicans and Democrats committed to working together in areas of disagreement, including how best to ensure bad actors using digital assets can be caught and ethics language to address the issue of elected officials, such as Trump, profiting from crypto. Senator Mark Warner, Virginia Democrat, one of several Democrats who has worked with Republicans on the bill, said while he was in crypto hell, the last couple months, he hopes to continue working on the bill and get to crypto heaven. I guess I'm right now in crypto purgatory, but I'm looking forward to getting all the way there, he said. I actually captured that moment on my other stream. If you want to check it out, Brendan Ecker Realty. It's a brand new YouTube channel, but I talk all about real estate, all about my side job, my profession, and, the way that I make money outside of just YouTube and content creation. So go check that out, Brendan Ecker Realty YouTube channel. But we cover a little bit of that Clarity Act. We watched some highlights of it in the beginning of that episode, and I explained why anybody who's looking to invest in real estate in the future should really think about getting in on crypto before these prices get too high. The prices are already going up, as we can see from the crypto market right now. Okay, so when we look at all of this, this is very big news. Again, I can't stress it enough. Get involved in crypto. The fear and greed index, I believe, is going to be back into the green. I think investors are going to feel rather good when they do the research on what the Clarity Act actually is, if you already don't know what it is, if you've been sleeping under a rock, right? Bitcoin's at $81,403. Ethereum's at $2,296.37. XRP is at $1.49. Binance is at $680.43. And again, Solana is at $92.84. Dogecoin's at 11 cents. Hyperliquid at $44.08. Cardano's at 27 cents. The entire market's up today. So very big news, very huge. And at the same time, we also have Bitcoin bulls triggering a $145 million short squeeze as the Clarity Act momentum revives risk appetite. Absolutely. This is crazy, right? Absolutely nuts. You got to be invested in the future. I can't stress it enough. After struggling to break 80,000, Bitcoin surged more than $2,000 in 4 hours, peaking above $81,800 and eyeing the $82,000 mark. Bitcoin surged past 82 grand on May 14th, reserving losses to lift its market cap to $1.63 trillion. That's going to be a lot of money going into the crypto market. Hopefully you guys are ready for it. The rally triggered $236 million in total liquidations, hitting short sellers on Polymarket and exchanges. Trump's China summit may ease the inflation, though experts warn oil markets won't fully recover until 2027. So when we look at those oil markets, what's happening? Again, oil's now going above $100 a barrel. It's kind of been hanging above $100 a barrel ever since really Trump said all of his Truth Social statements about continuing this war with Iran and all of that. So I anticipate as long as we're going to be in this Iran war, and as long as the Iranians have the intentions of basically controlling the entire Strait of Hormuz, these oil prices are going to stay right where they're at. WTI crude is at $101.60. Brent crude is at $105.70. Murban crude is at $104.70, and the natural gas average is $2.92. So again, we are looking at a little bit of an oil crisis, but at the same time, stock market seems to be going up. Vance announced his suspension of $1.3 billion to Medicaid payments to California. This was also big news. Vice President J.D. Vance announced Wednesday that the Trump administration is withholding $1.3 billion in Medicaid payments to California, and it's threatening to suspend federal funding to all states if they don't aggressively prosecute fraud in the Medicaid programs. As part of this role as the fraud Caesar, Vance said that the administration is targeting California because the state isn't taking fraud seriously. There are California taxpayers and American taxpayers who are being defrauded because California isn't taking its program seriously, but also you have people who have been prescribed medications that they don't even need. They've had drugs into their bodies that they don't need because fraudsters have actually encouraged false prescriptions and false administration of medications, Vance said at the White House. The move is similar to one of the administration took in February, suspending Medicaid payments to Minnesota. Vance said that the administration is also notifying all 50 states that it could freeze funding to their Medicaid fraud control units if they do not aggressively prosecute Medicaid fraud. Reason why that's a big idea, if you guys remember watching Nick Shirley, and he's been big in Cuba right now. I think the CIA has got him over there doing some work. But at the end of the day, Nick Shirley has been exposing all of this. In Minneapolis, all of the fraud happening there, the fraud happening in Los Angeles, Karen Bass, right? That's what Spencer Pratt is fighting against right now. And he's doing a great job, by the way. Absolutely great job. So proud of him. But we want the Los Angeles mayor to be Spencer Pratt, because when we look at all of this Medicaid fraud, that's what it all ties to. It is these corrupt politicians, these DEI programs. And when you look at all of it, we need to end all of those programs if we, the people, are to have any kind of future in finance or money or anything. Vance also warned, and if we continue to find problems, we can turn off other resources within their state Medicaid programs as well. Now we have red states and blue states that go so far after fraud aggressively, but we also, unfortunately, have some states, mostly blue states, unfortunately, that do not take Medicaid fraud very seriously, the vice president said. We want to protect Medicare, but we can't do that if the states are administering those programs and are allowing those programs to be fleeced by fraudsters, Vance said. So we encourage, whether it's California or New York or Maryland or Ohio, we encourage people to work with us. We want to help you use technology and other tools to get rid of the fraud and to get the root of the fraud. So again, this is Vice President J.D. Vance, and he is saying things, but is he going to do it? Are we going to get the policy? Okay, policy is everything. Policy is really what you need to be focusing on, not just the words, right? It's all about policy. That's what's most important. So after all of this, we also have some other news here. Why the stock market went flat today, 5/14/26. U.S. stock market futures were ready on Thursday evening. This comes as tech stocks lifted the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq higher today. U.S. stock futures were steady on Thursday evening after a strong session that pushed the S&P 500 index and the Nasdaq to new record highs. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 were down 0.02% and 0.03% respectively at 621. So the stock market's pretty much sitting right where it's at. But again, we do have indications that there could be some kind of crash when we look at the history of Cisco, what it's talking about right here, and then when we compare the charts of NVIDIA, which is the biggest AI tech company today. In the regular trading season, Cisco Systems led a tech rally in the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq closed to new record highs. The Nasdaq rose 0.9%, while the Dow and the S&P 500 each gained 0.8%. The Dow finished above $50,000 for the first time since February 11th, and the S&P 500 closed above 7,500. And then gold prices, looking at that, right now we are at $4,659.50, and it looks like that market's going down as we're looking at it. Remember, just a few months ago, we were at like 5,200 per ounce when it comes to gold. So gold is going down. Why do you think that is? I think it has a lot to do with crypto. I think it has a lot to do with the Federal Reserve and everything that we're seeing, all of the motions that are being, that are pretty much in play today. Okay. So let's also look at some of the news on X. Again, wanted to show you all of the things that I think we need to cover. We also have ChudTheBuilder. Everybody's talking about ChudTheBuilder. I've been watching his clips on X. I really don't like to show them too much on here because honestly, as much as I agree with the freedom of speech issue, I see what he's doing, but his way of going about it, it could end up putting him in prison for like 25 years. They've already charged him, they've convicted him, and it's actually a very sad story. But when we look at this, it is interesting. Black guy murders white girl and says, "Got that girl." This is talking about Irina Zarutska. This is the killer of Irina Zarutska right here on the left. This happened a few months ago on the New York City subway. Labeled too insane to stand trial, not labeled a hate crime. So that's interesting when you compare these things. Chud calls man a word. The man charges him and starts assaulting him. Chud uses self-defense. Charged with attempted murder, labeled a hate crime. So we don't know really because we haven't seen the audio or we haven't really seen like the actual video or audio. I'm sure it'll be coming out soon. my take on it, it's like, as much as I obviously understand the freedom of speech issue, you can't be going up to black people and saying that. I mean, it's, I understand the intention, but at the end of the day, it's going to get you in trouble. Okay, you got to be smart. You got to use strategy as the sword. Okay, don't be stupid and don't get yourself into trouble. There's a way about going about it. And, if you really look at the videos, he was kind of asking for it for a long time. I'm not saying he deserved it. Nobody deserved any of this. But at the end of the day, this is what happens. You have to be smarter about the things that you do. I feel bad for Chud. I liked his content. I thought he was pretty funny. And I actually, I thought he had a lot of potential. But it's sad when you see people making those kind of decisions. You can't be going after black people and calling them nigger. You can't say that right to their face. And expect nothing to happen. That's my thing. It's like, you're going to say it, you should expect something to happen back. And so, it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, there is a double standard in this country. And that's what's not being talked about. That's what's not being said. Black people commit crime. They are, you're seeing it all across the country. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's wild. Anybody who's been on Twitter ads, you see it. It's absolutely obscene. And there seems to be no accountability for black people. But when a white person does anything bad, it's 25 years in jail. It's 25 years in prison. So I completely understand both sides of the argument here. But again, my take on it, you got to be smarter. You got to use your strategy. You got to use your head. The way that you do things, no matter what the message is, you have to use strategy. You got to be strategic about the way that you're going to use your semantics and your words. And because, again, if you use them right, and if you argue things correctly, then you can never really get in trouble. Okay, but you got it. Your intent, all of that is going to be compiled. They're going to look at all of those videos in court. They're going to play those in court, and you have to think about all of that stuff. Everything you say will be used against you in a court of law, right? That's what they say. It's the Miranda rights. And so, yeah, very sad. But that's kind of my take on it. Nobody won here. If there's any kind of winning side, nobody won. But at the end of the day, this is just it's a tragedy, So, you got to be smarter. Got to be smarter. This is Dave Smith, F your BS Israel lobby op. This is still America, and we love America first. Absolutely. Thomas Massie has regained the lead in the Kentucky 0-4 Republican primary. He now has a 60% chance to win. That's awesome. I'm a big fan of Thomas Massie myself. We have the U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously that freight brokers can be held liable for negligently hiring unsafe trucking companies, including carriers using unqualified or illegal drivers. Oh, crap. We've been stuck here. Man, I hate this. So annoying. Sorry about that. I have to recapture the screen because OBS is just so dang annoying. Anyways, that's all you really missed here, hopefully. This is what we were talking about, ChudTheBuilder. We kind of covered that. Covered Jake Smith's post here, and then we also covered this breaking 911 from Twitter. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled unanimously that freight brokers can be held liable for negligently hiring unsafe trucking companies, including carriers using unqualified or illegal drivers who violate CDL regulations and cause crashes. And again, it's about time, if you ask me. Pretty ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous that for the longest time, there's just no accountability, and you have these people who can't even speak English, and they're getting CDL licenses, and they're driving like maniacs. That half of them can't even drive, and they're causing. Look at that. That's like GTA 5. I don't even see this when I play GTA 5. Look at this clip. Just watch it one more time. I feel like this is what we're gonna get when we see GTA 6 come out. Like this is like driving in GTA. Like you're playing Xbox, you're playing GTA, you're going too fast, you don't know how to brake, and then you're just trying to get to the destination, and bam, you just smack into everybody. That's like literally Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like a video game. These people are ridiculous, right? And again, I'm not targeting any specific race, but it's just like, come on. These Indian drivers, foreign drivers, you have to be able to speak English. You should be able to drive an actual automobile before you can even think about getting in a truck. There should be no employment ability for people who can't drive and can't obviously abide by the law. The driving laws of this country. It's absolutely ridiculous. Put them in jail, I say, or deport them. So, again, a little bit of a happier story. I thought this was kind of a neat clip.
A little pieces for another lineman to find. I got my glue right here. Like this.
So this lineman dude put a little Jesus thing on top of there for future linemen. Thought that was pretty cool. Pretty neat. Sweet. We need more of this. Good stuff. Oh, crap. I hope I don't get copyright for that. Watch, YouTube's going to literally not let me post this because of copyright. Hopefully, there's no copyright. ridiculous. I hate how YouTube's like that. Anything with music, it's just like, oh, you're banned. And they totally just cut out your stuff. But anyways, this guy put a little Jesus on top of the lineman pole for future linemen that are going to be up there. So I thought that was kind of neat. A little bit of a happier story. We're going to be getting into a little bit some worse news. So Ansley Brown has been posting about the AI data centers in Georgia. She lives in Georgia. Another home being torn down in Coweta County by Georgia Power. This is what they want to do to our property and 329 others. So take a look at this real quick. This is what you need to look out for. All those entrepreneurs, the Kevin Learys out there, they want to build those data centers. And at the end of the day, not really smart. We could put a lot of these data centers in the ocean. You could put them, you could have offshore data centers like China is doing, and it would work perfectly fine. Okay, and mind you that China is a country of great famine, and they're still making it work. Okay, they use solar panels, and they don't overuse their land. And at the end of the day, yes, China is a communist country, and they have a lot of their own problems, of course, hyper-surveillance state. But at the same time, in regards to AI and data centers, they're putting them offshore. It's a far better way, far more strategic. So, again, listen to this clip. Imagine if this was your home. This is eminent domain, ladies and gentlemen. This is the bad parts about real estate right here.
Hey, you guys, Ansley Brown from Coweta County, fighting for my mom's house being taken from eminent domain. I'm out here on the power lines. Guess what I found? Georgia Power out here tearing down a house. Okay,
yep.
Let's take a look at what's going on, you guys. What used to be here was an entire home. This is the exact same project that is taking from my mom. These poor people, Georgia Power already got them. I'm not going to let them get my mom too. As you can see, you guys, they have plenty of room to work with. Let me just do a 360.
But they got to take her house. Isn't that ridiculous?
As far as the eyes can see, they have room. They don't have to do this, but they are. Do you think these people...
And they really don't have to do it. I've done a lot of research on the AI data centers, and what Kevin O'Leary is doing, he wants the most bang for the buck. Same with Sam Altman and all these billionaires. They want all these AI data centers and they want the on-land data centers because they think they're going to make more money from it. They're going to scoop out and crank out more money from it. But really, it's just, it's disadvantageous to both reputation of these companies, and at the same time, this is the stuff that's going to create a massive revolution in the country. Maybe they're trying to do that, but at the end of the day, we could have a far better solution. You put these data centers offshore, and it's really that simple. This is what China's doing.
We're paid.
We can do it too.
Fairly? Probably not. And look at what happened to their property. It is down on the ground, you guys.
Ridiculous.
Bulldozing it as we speak. No joke, you guys. Eminent domain is taking people's homes out here in Coweta County, and I am going to put a stop to it.
Worst thing about real estate right there. Absolutely horrible. Very sad to see. Meanwhile, breaking Canada's MAID euthanasia machine just hit rock bottom. A Quebec physician has formally suggested assisted suicide for infants. I know this is crazy to listen to, but babies from birth to 1 year old with severe deformities and syndromes. Parents should have the opportunity to have their newborn killed. Literally, this is what they're doing. Federal committees are now pushing to expand MAID mature minors, children, where a doctor, not the parents, decides if the kid can consent to their own death. Absolutely insane. So a doctor, not you don't have the say with your own kids anymore. It's now, at least in Canada, Ontario's chief coroner confirms hundreds of MAID deaths are driven by poverty, loneliness, and lack of housing, not terminal illness. People are being offered lethal injection because they feel like a burden. This isn't a healthcare. This is a moral horror show. And absolutely is. Years of liberal NDP rule have turned Canada into one of the most dangerous places on earth for the vulnerable, from newborns to the poor. Danielle Smith is fighting this insanity in Alberta. The rest of the country needs to wake the hell up before it gets even worse. Watch the full press conference. And mind you, everything that you see around the world, they're going to try it here in the United States real soon. This is the intent. Everywhere that you see is an experiment, and they want to try it there, see how it works, and they're going to bring it over here to America. And we have to say no to this. Assisted suicide, what kind of world is that? That's hell.
I want to draw attention to 3 concerns about the widening scope of euthanasia in Canada. These are not concerns from the fringes, but statements from a member of a provincial medical college, recommendations before Parliament, and the reality of MAID right now in Canada. And most Canadians are not yet aware of the extent of the horror. The first concern is about a statement regarding infants. A member of the Quebec College of Physicians has formally stated that MAID may be an appropriate treatment for babies from birth to 1 year of age, who come into the world with severe deformities and very serious syndromes, and that parents should have the opportunity to obtain this care for their infant.
The craziest part is people agree with this. Like, you post a short about this. Watch, I'm going to post this short, and there will be people in the comment section that will argue with me on why this is a great idea. Well, you're stupid, Brendan. You're stupid. This is a good idea. This is fine. What's wrong with this? You'll literally have people that will actually agree with this because of the level of psychological programming and brainwashing, and it's just so upsetting. I know I've literally lost viewers just like showing this, but it's like, this is such important news to cover because this is what they are trying to do everywhere across the planet. Assisted suicide, not okay, not okay. We need to say no.
Canadian law currently permits the withdrawal of life-sustaining treatment for critically ill newborns. This medical practitioner's proposal goes further. He calls for the calculated killing of an infant. These are patients, babies, who cannot speak, cannot consent, and cannot ask for help.
That's some Epstein shit.
If we cannot draw the line
That's
here,
terrible.
I'm not sure where medical professionals imagine the line to be. The second concern is a proposal regarding mature minors. A report by the Special Joint Committee on Medical Assistance in Dying, AMAD, has recommended extending MAID to children with parental consent described as optional. A physician, not a child's parent, would determine whether a child is able to consent to his own death. In this discussion, MAID advocates showed their true colors and defended the rationale for euthanizing minors without consulting their parents. Yet 43 expert witnesses called this recommendation deeply flawed. I might call it something stronger.
Like, am I the only one who thinks this is absolutely insane? What world am I living in where this is just like, how do we even say this with a normal, how does he even say this with just a normal tone of voice and it's just no problem at all? Yes, we are going to kill your children and it's not going to be a problem. It won't be your decision, parents. It'll actually be the physician's decision. And if you have a problem with that, well, you will be violating Canadian law and the medical diagnosis and the entire doctrines of the Canadian system. Like, we are literally living in tyranny. This is hell. This is like hell. We need to say no to this everywhere. There should be protests in the street. And the fact that people are so calm about it is so insane. You are not sane if you are sane watching this. You know, there needs to be a level of absolute resistance to things like this.
The third concern is euthanasia on demand. Ontario's chief coroner has documented MAID deaths driven not by illness, but by poverty, loneliness, and lack of housing. Approximately half of those who died by MAID in 2024 reported requesting it because they felt like a burden to their families, friends, or caregivers.
Sheesh.
These are not necessarily
why do you think,
people.
Right? Why do you think? I mean, look at what they've done to the country of Canada. They've flooded the country with immigrants. It's mostly Indians and Chinese now. And so it's like you have the average Canadian who is really a brother to America. They're no different than us. And they are being forced to they're being forced to submit to all of this. And they have no say. And it's absolutely horrible. This is globalism.
Dying of terminal illness. These are Canadians.
It's actually Satanism, even worse than globalism.
By a system that chose to offer them lethal injection rather than the support and hope they needed to live.
What world am I living in? What world am I living in? This is absolutely insane. Like, this is why I do this show, because it's like people like really just think that this is so normal. And then we go on like this is not even a problem. Absolutely crazy. On to the next story. Donald Trump's decisions directly led to the death of Joe Kent's wife, and now Trump is attacking him for getting remarried years later. So this is what Tucker Carlson had to say. What do you guys think about this clip? Again, I like Tucker Carlson, and they've been really going hard at Tucker Carlson in the media. So let's take a listen, and what do you guys think?
Joe Kent's wife was killed as a CIA officer in Syria. What was she doing there? She was sent there by the Trump administration to fight another one of Israel's wars. So it's a decision that Donald Trump made that got Joe Kent's wife killed. That's a fact. And now Trump is attacking the guy for getting remarried after that wife is killed, serving his administration?
Donald Trump cheated on his wife, Ivana Trump, with Marla Maples. It was extremely infamous. How dare he criticize these honorable men who lost their wives for finding love years later? It's truly galling.
Joe Kent's wife.
So again, I mean, that was like one little viral clip. A lot of people are talking about it. At the end of the day, I just wanted to outline that because, I mean, hey, what do you guys think? Honestly, I like Joe Kent, and I think he is a hero ultimately. And Trump is just, at the end of the day, I don't know what's going on. But at the end of the day, positive notes on Trump. Don't want to criticize him when he's doing good stuff. Trump has never had alcohol in his life. China gave him a beverage to toast, and Trump actually drank it. This is a very subtle but strong statement on who's really in charge. This tweet comes from Ethan Levins on X. So, again, Trump has never drank a drop of alcohol, really because of his brother who died of alcoholism. So to see him take a drink, it's honestly shocking. Thank you. I'm sure the gut bearer, if you don't know what the gut bearer is, they test all of Trump's drinks. But Trump took a drink in China. So, very interesting. It does show you a little bit about who is in control. We can make that argument. We know Israel's probably a little bit more in control than Trump is, but that's at least what it appears to be. But maybe with China, Trump is in a little bit more control right now than China, because China does rely on Iran's oil, and maybe there's signs that the United States is winning this war against Iran. Who knows? But that is a big sign. It's something to think about, something to look at. At the end of the day, though, the Iranians are not backing down. Hezbollah does not plan on backing down until they have all of their terms met, which, again, the Iranian terms have basically been, we want to control the Strait of Hormuz. We want all sanctions taken off of Iran. We want the ability to enrich nuclear and have a nuclear program. And really, those are the biggest three requirements that Iran had said. We want those. These are our demands. And they're not going to give up until those three demands are met. So with Trump saying none of those demands are going to be met, this tells you that the war is going to probably continue going on, most likely, unless there is some kind of geopolitical involvement like China. So I guess we'll see what happens. But we also have the Russians and their connection to China and the war against Russia and Ukraine right now, where Russia is winning that war. And then we also have Europe, who's probably going to end up taking a hit by Russia as well, because they've been really supplying the EU and the United Nations to continue funding this Ukrainian war, which was perpetrated by the United States. This was a United States CIA war. Really, you can call it an Israeli war too. It benefits mostly the Israelis and the Central Intelligence Agencies, and that's really what it is all about. Okay, so this is Joe Kent. We're not going to watch the full clip, but the war in Iran has settled into an unsustainable cycle of brief military action, then in return to a costly ceasefire, followed by rumors of a deal that never seems to materialize. This has left most Americans wondering how we can get out of this war before things get worse. This week, I wrote about how we can break the cycle and get out of the war on Sean Ryan's newsletter. So again, we'll watch a little bit of this clip from Joe Kent and what he had to say about it.
Joe Kent here. I just wrote a piece on Sean Ryan's weekly newsletter about how we can get out of this mess that we're in Iran. So make sure that you're subscribed to his newsletter at the link below. Basically, the piece outlines that we are in a stalemate right now with Iran, and every week or so we repeat the similar cycle where we'll exchange some kind of fire, or there'll be some talk of escalation or an escalation with the Iranians, and then immediately we will say, hey, the ceasefire is holding, and we're going to try and get back to the negotiating table with the Iranians. We submit a list of demands. The Iranians counter. This usually gets leaked to our media, to Iranian state media, and the Iranians basically are telling us that they don't want to negotiate. They refuse to negotiate away anything that we've failed to take from them on the battlefield is kind of the line that they're using. And we continue to use very maximalist demands, but the Iranians were demanding they give up their ability to enrich uranium. We're demanding that they give up all the highly enriched uranium that they have in the country right now. These are both poison pills, red lines for the Iranians. So the diplomatic track, as the scenario currently is laid out, is not set to get us out of this conflict. The negotiations really haven't gone anywhere. And then also the military situation is equally as dire. I mean, basically, we have a blockade on the Straits of Hormuz. The Iranians have a blockade on the Straits of Hormuz. Tensions are very high. The conflict could kick off again in very short order. The effect that the two blockades have had on the world economy, and especially our economy here in America, has already had a major impact. We're seeing price at the pump soar nationwide. This is putting a lot of political pressure.
Oh, yeah. Here in Michigan, we got $5 gas prices. What are your gas prices where you're at?
President Trump. We're also on the cusp of seeing major shortages with fertilizer, other petrochemicals, machine oil, and that's going to affect the entire world market, potentially even harming agricultural supplies and food supplies in some parts of the world. So there's major political pressure and economic pressure on both us and Iran right now to settle this conflict one way or another, to get the Straits of Hormuz open back up again. Now, militarily, there's really no clear military solution for us right now. If there was, we simply would have executed it. We have a very powerful military. We could force open the Straits of Hormuz temporarily. However, it would only be temporary. The Iranians don't have to apply a lot of combat power, even have a lot of capabilities to really hamper the shipment of oil and petrochemicals in and out of the Straits of Hormuz. So our military options are very limited. I mean, I get concerned because occasionally we're hearing some of the hawks here in America, the pro-Israel types that are telling President Trump he needs to put boots on the ground in some of the islands,
which is
in the Straits of
insane.
Hormuz and the Persian Gulf. He needs to take some of the land that borders the Straits of Hormuz so that we can retain control of the Straits of Hormuz. This just simply isn't sustainable.
And again, if you know anything about Iran, they've been preparing for this exact war from Israel. They've been preparing for a war with Israel for the past like 3 decades. Okay, 2-3 decades now. They've been literally preparing for this. For about 27 years, the Iranians have been stockpiling on missiles, conventional warheads, all of these things so they can actually fight back against both the United States and Israel as a force. And they're doing well, obviously. This war is kind of going nowhere, as Joe is saying here. That's pretty much what I was saying. And again, it is a war of attrition. The Iranians are going to continue fighting until they get their demands met. Trump obviously is never going to back down. We know that he wants the Strait of Hormuz open again, even though we had it open before this war started. And obviously he wants them to not have a nuclear weapon when, again, there really is no Iranian nuclear weapon. We already understand that now. We understand that the Iranians actually, they want an enrichment program. So as a deterrence to Israel, because Israel has 90 to 200 nuclear warheads, and we're not even allowed to know about it. And again, that comes from Jonathan Pollard. Okay, he was a spy for the Israeli state who sold all of our nuclear codes and Russian nuclear codes. He sent all of this information. Jonathan Pollard, again, this Israeli spy, was a traitor to the United States. I guess you could call it that because we're so close together. But anyways, all of this war, it really is coming back to, we're going nowhere with it.
Sure, our forces could go in. We'd probably take a lot of combat loss. It would cost us a lot. We could go in and we could do this temporarily, but we couldn't hold it in the long run. It would be very, very costly for us, and it would get us sucked into a larger war that simply isn't in our strategic interest right now.
Right.
And so the diplomatic track apparently right now, based on everything that we've seen from the previous rounds of negotiations, is more or less dead. The military options are going to be too costly for us to realistically execute. And so what I'm advocating strongly for President Trump to do is to flip the script, walk away, use the tool of sanctions relief for the Iranians to get concessions on the nuclear issue, but to open up the Straits of Hormuz and to get the world economy back online. In essence, we will be restoring order. We will retain our ability to basically to call the shots, and we will be seen as a stabilizing force as opposed to a force for chaos, as we're seeing right now by a lot of the world, because we started this war. What's critical for us?
The issue is that the one thing I disagree, well, I don't disagree, but the one thing he hasn't said yet is that the negotiations, JD Vance, the Iranians don't even really want to, or they want to negotiate, but the United States doesn't even want to really negotiate with Iran. Iran has called a lot of our different diplomats, even analysts, and they've asked, hey, we're trying to get this thing done. We want to secure this. We want to get this over with. And they haven't been able to communicate with a lot of the Trump administration. And they even said that they don't want, they don't want to negotiate with JD Vance, was it? So that's very interesting for them to say that. What do you guys think about that ultimately?
Just to understand before we go down this road is that we were basically brought into this war by the Israelis, and now President Trump
100% true.
Will say no, that's not the case. However, members of his administration, like Secretary of State Rubio and others, have said that we had to attack Iran because the Israelis were going to.
Yes, Rubio did say that. That was a huge statement.
The ones who told President Trump that if he took out the supreme leader, the Iranian people would rise up and overthrow him, and this would be very quick and easy. This would be like Midnight Hammer. This would be like what President Trump did in Venezuela. This would not be a long, protracted war. He believed that. And now we're into this war. Now, the Israelis told President Trump this because they need us into this war.
And don't forget who's always over Trump's shoulder. Howard Lutnick. Again, remember the Epstein files. It is a Jewish cabal. Okay, we're not blaming all Jews, but it is a Jewish cabal, and we have to address that. We have to reiterate that. We have to make sure that that issue is known, and because if it's not, then it becomes this invisible thing where nobody talks about it, and then it just becomes accepted over time. Okay, even the Israeli government is quite literally an illegitimate government, and you could say that. And so at the same time, you have to understand that if nobody's willing to say that, then they're going to be able to do what they want. This genocide can go on, and again, we have 700,000 illegal Israeli settlers in Gaza. Okay, and then Lebanon, I keep reiterating this every episode, they're dropping white phosphorus bombs over the sky. Okay, that is a war crime. That is against the Geneva Convention that the Israelis, that the Jews created in World War II. Okay, they created the Geneva Convention with all these rules and laws on war. Now they are violating them. So we have to think about that. And again, we also have different Israeli diplomats who have said, well, Jews, international laws do not apply to Jews. We've heard that said. Also, again, by specific spies like Jonathan Pollard and those kind of players. Netanyahu was just on 60 Minutes talking about how, basically they're losing the propaganda war in all of this. Okay.
We have to realize that the Israelis have a much different strategic objective than we do. Israel's objective is
the Greater Israel Project.
Regime decapitation, maybe regime change, but really they just want this regime in Iran right now gone or constantly in a state of conflict, fighting internally so that they can't actually pose a threat to the Israelis. And the Israelis can't accomplish any of this without American combat power. And that's why basically they told President Trump that this would be easy just to get us committed. And so Israel basically also baked into the cake the political issues that we're having right now in America. The Israelis understand American politics very, very well. And
they run them. They run American politics. I mean, we just have to agree on that fact. That is very true.
Know that this war would not be popular after the first couple weeks, and they were correct. And so what they did was they set the conditions for us to be stuck in this war. They did so by getting us
this is a pretty good analysis.
On board with killing the former supreme leader, who was relatively a moderate in Iranian terms. And I say moderate in the sense that he was enforcing a prohibition on the development of a nuclear weapon. He and a lot of his accolades were making sure that the proxies, the Iranian proxy networks in Iraq and other places,
the Kurds, the Syrians, the Kurds, that's really what Joe Kent's talking about right here,
didn't attack us once President Trump came into office in January 2025. They held back the proxies from attacking us all through 2025. And up until this last iteration of conflict started in February of 2026, to include withholding the proxies during the 12-day war and after Midnight Hammer. And so these relative moderates were holding a prohibition on the development of a nuclear weapon, and they were also seeking a diplomatic solution.
Yes. And so we'll stop it there. But ultimately, that's a pretty good analysis from Joe Kent, and that's ultimately what's happening. I'd play the whole thing, but we only have so much time. At the end of the day, I pretty much agree with all of that, though. That's very true. We need to get out of this. We need to get out of that war. We need to have a strategic withdrawal so we can remain that superpower, so we can have that military power, that tactical power, all of it. We need to be able to, secure our own military, and then, of course, our own borders, which is not happening. Okay, we have Greg Bavino, who is the head of ICE, who's even said the same things. He's very close to the Border Patrol and the entire ICE community. Again, whether you like him or not, very true that our border is not secure right now. We need to worry about our own soil before we go worrying about the rest of the world. Okay, we need American nationalism versus globalism, and that is the issue. That is the America First stance. The America First position is to have America first. Okay, our home soil first, not a globalist kind of thing. Okay, we can have the Monroe Doctrine. We can take Cuba. We can take Greenland. We can take Venezuela. It actually does make sense. Those countries would probably be better off if we were in control of them. Quite honestly, if you really actually look at those countries over the past, few decades, it would probably be better for them if we were in control of those countries. So, I mean, honestly, whether you agree with that or not, that's just, an objective. That's a subjective opinion, but that's kind of where my stance is on that. So moving on. Spencer Pratt made a video here. Wow, Karen Bass getting lit up in public for her failures. Inside safe has only made us unsafe outside. 100%. So this is from Spencer Pratt exposing Karen Bass.
How much, Karen? How much? 400
He's not the one behind the camera right now. It's somebody else, but he had reposted this clip.
million to house, 1,500 people permanently? You are a failure.
Also, it's important to add context to this. Karen Bass, the lady in the blue suit that you're seeing on the screen, Very important to add context that this lady literally cut off the water to the fire department during all of these fires that destroyed the homes in the Palisades of California. Okay, so Spencer Pratt, the man who's running for the Los Angeles mayor right now, he is one of the victims of that. That was his main motive to essentially run for the Los Angeles mayor, was because he lost his home. Because, again, Karen Bass and her policies, basically, it was her decision to cut off the water supply specifically for this fire, and the fire department was left there with empty hoses and not even able to do anything about it. And this was all on camera documented. We'll cover that clip, hopefully, if we have time, but it's in the bookmarks here.
An absolute failure. And you come here for your little media event. You have failed the city of LA, Karen.
Look at how they just don't even care. They just laugh. Like, these are a different breed of human beings, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, when you look at this, look at the smile that she has on her face, and look at this lady to her right. Okay, they just do not care at all. And then this guy looks like security over here in the gray suit on the right.
We are spending hundreds of thousands per person
they just do not care.
Inside safe. Half of them end up back out on the street.
And she just continues laughing.
The city is filthy. You've cut funding for everything. You've cut funding for street services, for street lighting.
Facts.
For sanitation. Don't touch me. Please don't touch me.
That guy's going to get thrown in jail, whoever's recording.
I don't care about your media event. The
Easy,
people
man.
have real questions. Here, we're about to get started. I'll wait till she talks. I'll let Hugo talk. You guys want to have your little rally for Karen Bass. I don't give a damn about Karen Bass. She has lied to the voters, and she's been an absolute failure. And everybody just sits around just pretending. Let's put on this little act.
This guy might be a little hot in the head, but at the end of the day, he's absolutely 100% right.
Right here.
Pretty sane reaction, quite honestly. It's pretty sane reaction, in my opinion, when you look at everything that the state of California has had to put up with Governor Newsom, and then you have, again, Mayor Carol Bass of Los Angeles. Absolutely insane, and that there's even still any support for her.
Go ahead, Hugo. I'll let you speak.
William, thank you. Our current mayor, Mayor Bass.
Boo!
Boo!
Thank you.
Boo, Karen Bass. Boo.
It's definitely a delight to be here.
No, it's
to stand shoulder to shoulder with a wonderful council member who I have enjoyed working with for the last 3.5 years.
Vipers.
Both of us committed to ending homelessness in the nation's second.
Look at the gaslighting. We're going to end homelessness as we are the reason you are homeless. Think about that. We're the reason you're homeless, but we're going to end homelessness. Oh, yeah, you ended homelessness, all right. You drove everybody in Los Angeles in the Palisades out so you could have all that real estate money. We know how it works as the agents. Come on.
Now than when you entered office. It's higher right now than when you entered office.
For 2 years in a row.
That's 2 years. You've been in office for almost 4. It's higher now than when you entered office.
It's Alex Jones right here.
Karen, you deserve no credit. You're taking credit for their work, Karen.
Ugh. It's despicable
Karen, you're taking
to watch.
credit for their work. You are so shameful.
Agreed. Unbelievable. She couldn't care less, along with Baldy here. Look at this guy. You could literally see your face on top of that head. You could do some ice skating on that head. That's crazy. Look at that ice rink on his head. That's wild. That is a cue ball. That is a cue tip. Wow. Okay, back to the subject.
Let's bury Karen's career.
This dude's definitely security.
Come on, Hugo. Why are you letting her take credit for their work? There she is.
The ashes of Los Angeles. Digging their shovels into the ashes of Los Angeles.
Why did you alter the Palisades after action report? Don't you think the people deserve to know why?
We're going to head right this way.
Karen Bass.
Why did you alter the after action report?
What a criminal she is.
Are you okay? Thanks for being so. I just really might want to.
What a criminal.
Because why are you bumping me? Because he's a terrible mayor. Hey, Karen, you spent $400 million on Inside Safe and only permanently housed 1,500 people. Is that successful? Is that successful? Nobody loves her. Her approval rating says otherwise. Hey, Karen, can you explain?
We love you, Karen. We love you, Karen. Who's saying this? You know, are these all the illegal immigrants that are enjoying their free money and their free stay in all of the houses that got burnt down that were rebuilt specifically for illegal immigrants?
You spent so much on Inside Safe and only permanently house 1,500 people. Is that a good use of our funds? That's taxpayer money. And you've cut, what, street lighting, you've cut sanitation, you've cut public works.
She cut the water. I mean, I guess that means public works, but I mean, you got to specifically say it. She cut the fire department's water during the Palisade fires. That is a crime. She should be in prison. Prison. That comes from a cop. She needs to be in prison for sure.
You've cut all types of works, and then you want to come out and take credit for things that other people do. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Easy, guy.
Please don't touch me.
Don't get yourself arrested.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I don't have to go anywhere.
Yes, well, let me just...
No, she's a failure.
Look at that reptilian. Just look at that face. Like, not to be slanderous, but like, my God, I can't help it. Look at that reptilian.
She spent $400 million on Inside Safe and only permanently housed 1,500 people. 1,500 people. $400 million we spent on her program. She has tried to fight audits nonstop. I am not. I don't care. I'm trying to get answers. She has been running for years, and she won't answer the questions. Karen Bass, why have you been fighting an audit of Inside Safe? Why? You guys just want to sit there and run cover for her.
This guy needs to relax. This guy's gonna get himself arrested. If you're gonna go out and protest, guys, you got to be careful. You got to be relaxed, peaceful as doves, peaceful as doves.
You have never asked real questions. You have never asked real questions.
I'm ready to ask questions. Like,
filmthepoliceLA@gmail.com. Send me an email. Karen, you're a failure.
Ruthless.
No one loves her. She's a failure.
Reminds me of Alex
There
Jones.
goes Karen Speed. You can't go that way. Karen's speed running again.
Nice. Got her, though. Got her.
You can't go that way. There is a truck in the way.
Oh,
what
man.
a mess.
100%. So yeah, that's Karen Bass. Maybe we dragged that out a little too long, but at the end of the day, it's important that people know what's going on in the beautiful state of California that once used to be beautiful, and it could be beautiful again. All right, I want to see California become recovered. Next story. U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz announces that $1.8 billion of U.S. taxpayer money will be sent to the United Nations to fund emergency humanitarian assistance. What is this? This is more DEI programs. This comes on top of the $2 billion already pledged in December of 2025. They told us USAID was dismantled to cut waste and put America first, yet now billions are being pledged to the failed United Nations.
His mandate to us is to...
Aren't these people so great? Don't they just care so much?
In December of last year, we signed a historic memorandum of understanding that announced $2 billion in pooled funding to drive reforms through the humanitarian reset that Undersecretary Fletcher has been leading. Our partnership, our burden sharing has increased, but duplication and inefficiencies have decreased that cost time, taxpayer money, and frankly lives.
Yeah.
In many ways, this collaboration on reform
Bring back
reflects
Doge.
President Trump's priorities for the UN and helping it reach its potential. His mandate to us is to help the institution reform and help it achieve that potential. We found that when the UN does what it does best, delivering humanitarian aid in remote, difficult locations at scale.
The only place that humanitarian aid should be going is to the kids of Gaza or Lebanon, quite literally. That is what the United Nations are for. That's the only thing the United Nations should be providing any taxpayer money for, quite honestly, is the people of Palestine, the victims of Palestine and Lebanon. And truly, I mean, that's it. You know, it shouldn't be going, and all of this is going to be sent for DEI programs. It's going to be sent for the Ukraine war, so Lindsey Graham can, he can get his fix on more war. That's what all of this money is really for, that you're paying taxes for. Pretty insane. And then if you don't pay your taxes, you go to jail. Think about that for a minute. And then these guys get to just keep making bank all day, printing money on your behalf.
With a reliable and affordable supply chain, it can and does succeed. It's only then when the organization strays from its core mission that it tends to not perform nearly as well as it should. So we're here to support its success, and because of the clear commitment to reform and the achievements so far, we are thrilled today, again, with Undersecretary Lewin and Undersecretary General Fletcher, to announce an additional $1.8 billion in humanitarian funding.
Oh, thank you.
Funds will save more lives.
Better said, you're so welcome. You're so welcome for our tax dollars. You're welcome. We did that for you so you can live in your ivory towers. Just so corrupt.
Around the world, but also drive
We need to bring back Doge so hard.
forward the reforms that we put in place for efficiency, accountability, and lasting impact.
Seriously. I mean, unbelievable. The new Federal Reserve Chair, Kevin Warsh, if you're under 40, Bitcoin is your new gold.
Talked about Bitcoin in the past.
Kevin Warsh is going to be, I think he's going to be pretty positive for crypto. From what I've looked at, from the research I've done on Kevin Warsh, he is replacing Jerome Powell, if you didn't know that. And I think he's going to be really good for crypto overall. He's more of a Bitcoin guy, but that's good. You know, I think we need somebody who's pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto. Crypto is going to save the United States of America, quite honestly. Okay, don't move your money around. Don't do stupid stuff with your crypto, obviously. Don't sell when it's too low. Buy low, sell high. But at the end of the day, Kevin Warsh is definitely pro-crypto, at least from the research that I've done.
You had perhaps a lesser view. I don't know if you have a different view today.
So Stan calls me his partner. I call him my boss. One of us is lying, but I'll let you figure out who's who in that, Andrew. So I'd say I think that Bitcoin does make sense as part of a portfolio in this environment where you have the most fundamental shift, for example, in monetary policy since Paul Volcker. This is a big shift.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great hedge against inflation, right? We just looked at the gold markets. Gold is crashing right now. Okay, we look at the stock market. We don't know how much longer that has. Okay, that's being propped up by Trump pretty much in the Trump administration. That's really kind of an inflated market. And then you have oil prices, which are going sky high through the roof. I guess you can bet on oil futures. And if you can predict that price of oil, then you can make yourself a pretty good living. But at the end of the day, I mean, I still think oil prices have the potentiality to go above $200 a barrel just because of this Iran war. And the longer that we're in it, the more hostile this war gets, the longer that the Strait of Hormuz is not open for commerce, then that's 20% of the world's oil that's not going to us, and it's going to China and other countries. And again, at the end of the day, China wants that Strait of Hormuz open so they can prosper from that Strait of Hormuz as well. Okay, so that's why I think Trump and President Xi have done that negotiation, because maybe they're going to split it 10% some kind of way. 10% of, again, 20% of the world's oil supply. Maybe it's 10% for the U.S., 10% for China overall. And so that's kind of probably what was negotiated. And China's probably been talking with Iran to open that Strait of Hormuz. So again, Iran doesn't have to get in this war that never ends. And at the end of the day, they don't get to get pounded by Israel. And at the same time, China benefits, the United States benefits, everybody wins. So that's why it is important that China and Trump did do this negotiation, because that could open that Strait of Hormuz. And we need that to be opened because we do want America to win this war. We don't want to lose this war. We want everybody to win, and that means ending this war as soon as possible, in my opinion.
That we're seeing under the Powell Fed, rightly or wrongly. So I'm not surprised in a period of dollar weakness where Bitcoin's doing what it's doing. And I'd also suggest that part of the move in Bitcoin is taking some of the bid away from gold. I think if Bitcoin never existed, gold
exactly
would be
what I just said.
rallying even more right now. But I guess if you're under 40, Bitcoin is your new gold. So I think of Bitcoin as a lot of things, but it's certainly with every passing day
XRP though.
New life.
See, they're not allowed to talk. They're not allowed to say XRP, but XRP is going to be the next big thing. I mean, XRP, it's primed, it's ready. I mean, I think with everything that the company Ripple has done, basically beating the SEC long time back. Again, this is going to be a big market, and I think it's going to be, the investors who are invested in things like XRP, not financial advice, but people who are invested in XRP are going to make more of a gain than those who are investing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's already up, right? And you're going to get less Bitcoin. So you put $100 into Bitcoin, you're going to get a lot less shares than you're going to get if you buy $100 worth of XRP, something that's $1.39 right now, right? $1.41 actually, I think it was. I think XRP actually reached like $1.51 earlier today when I looked.
alternative currency. And when you see the strength of the euro, the strength of the pound, the strength of the RMB, the Korean won, the Mexican peso, I guess we shouldn't be surprised to see the strength of Bitcoin as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brand new asset class, right? Appreciating assets. Then meanwhile, you have Senator Elizabeth Warren saying that the Clarity Act will blow up the economy. It pushes more of the economy into crypto. So again, she acts like this is a bad thing. This is like, she is just so anti-success. I even left a comment here. I had left a comment. She sounds exactly, and I spelled exactly wrong. I spelled exactly, and I didn't spell it right because I was so irritated by that post. I was typing quick. But yeah, I mean, this sounds like exactly like Gary Gensler here, but listen to the clip first. This is what Elizabeth Warren had to say about crypto and where things are going. She's been anti-crypto every step of the way, anti-progress, anti-growth.
It pushes more of the market into crypto and removes protections for investors and removes recourse for victims. That is the wrong direction to go in.
All right. That is the wrong direction to go in. Like, who is this old lady telling us what we need to believe with crypto? It's like, lady, you're worth millions of dollars, okay? It's like, what are you talking about? You just want to continue this machine of the fiat dollar where they continue printing money and collecting your tax dollars while they crush crypto? No. So yeah, this was a 15-9 vote for pro Clarity Act, and it's going to be sent to the Senate now. That's the last step for the Clarity Act. Needs to be a full. I'm a little concerned, I got to be honest, because there was, we'll see, but we have a pretty conservative Senate, and again, they're pretty pro-Trump, and so Trump wants that crypto bill passed. He could pass it whenever they want. Congress can pass it. Senate can pass it whenever they want. Ultimately, that's what we're hoping for. But this is what she had to say.
It's up at the economy. I hope everybody remembers. It pushes more of the market in to go in.
All right.
When this blows up at the economy, I hope everybody remembers. It pushes. When this blows up at the economy, I hope everybody remembers. When this blows up at the economy, I hope everybody remembers.
She's so mad that people are going to make money. She's so mad that you are going to actually have a chance. You know what I mean? So I had commented this. I said that she sounds exactly like our old anti-crypto friend, Gary Gensler. Same script, same team. Totally.
Right now, unfortunately, there's significant non-compliance.
This guy
in the
sucks.
Field, which is rife with fraud, abuse, and
mind you, this is a guy who was picking favorites. He had said like, oh, Bitcoin's a commodity and Ethereum's a commodity, and this was all behind closed doors. And then he went and said that everything else is like a security, even though XRP was like the first ones to apply for the SEC specifically for commodity status. Okay, so it's very interesting. Same script. These guys just are trying to kill crypto. Mind you that this guy was also working for the Hillary Clinton Foundation.
right now, unfortunately, there's significant non-compliance, and it's a field which is rife with fraud, abuse, and
just
misconduct.
credulous human beings. Credulous. Absolutely credulous. Crypto Wild West hurts investors, SEC chair says. This is when he was the chair. He's not the chair anymore, thank God. Bankruptcy court queues are crowded. Again, that's what he had said. I got 9 likes on that. I got like 640 views, but I couldn't handle it. I had to text. I had to say something. Of course I made a typo. I even checked it for the typo. Made the damn typo still. I'm so mad about it. I couldn't go back and edit it. But hey, I'm a seller, not a speller, right? But that was still just crazy and just very interesting. Elizabeth Warren, ladies and gentlemen, these are the people who are stopping you from wealth at the end of the day. On to the next story. People are finding remains of missiles near the recently discovered secret Israeli military base. What do you think about this? This is an update from Alex Barnico. Give him a follow. He's a great analyst.
Strikes onto civilians and just 2 days after the secret Israeli military base that was built in Iraq was discovered, people are now finding remains of missiles and bombs nearby. In the report, it was said that Israel was carrying out strikes onto civilians and militant groups within Iraq because they got too close to the base, and Israel didn't want its location being public. So Israel just bombed them so that they didn't tell anyone. Well, in the report, that was a crazy claim, and if it's true, of course, it would violate international law, so we wouldn't believe it, would we? Well, now, just 2 days later, actually, as expected, we're now finding remains of things like US-made Hellfire missiles very close to the base. And these are very precise missiles that are used to carry out strikes onto small targets. They're exactly the type of missiles you would use if Israel wanted to get rid of a bunch of people who were nearby to the base. And so
again, it's our missiles. Isn't that terrible? Now, again, maybe they were our missiles actually targeting certain specific locations of Netanyahu's government. Who knows? Maybe there is that 5D chess. I'm not going to entertain that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that's true. But I still have to entertain all possibilities.
Combined with that report would now suggest that Israel actually was carrying out strikes onto people, whether they're civilians or militants, we don't know, who got too close to the base because they didn't want it to be discovered. Of course, Israel has now left the base in Iraq, so that's how people are finding out about
Interesting.
This. But it's a massive, groundbreaking claim. But it actually looks like it might have happened. So if we get some more confirmations, then as usual, I'll keep you up to date on stuff. So leave me a follow for some more global
100%.
news.
Alex Barnacle, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell? Divers doing a routine maintenance check at the Converse Reservoir Dam in Mobile, Alabama, just found an underwater IED. Who do you think that might be? Who has that experience with explosives? You know, the dancing Israelis, maybe? Apparently, a grenade-type bomb was sitting submerged at the bottom of a dam that holds an entire city's drinking water. It took 5 agencies, the FBI, the ALEA, the sheriff, mobile PD, and a maritime render-safe team to pull it out and detonate it. Someone put a bomb in our water supply. Where is the national coverage? You ain't going to hear about it. And I bet we even found some kind of traces to maybe our greatest ally. That would be my guess. Or I mean, who else would have that kind of thinking, you know? I'm thinking explosives. Who's good with explosives? Who likes to be stealthy and, you know, very secretive about the way they do it? Who likes to attack other countries in that same kind of way that we've been seeing on this show? Israel. Now, not blaming anybody. We don't have any proof of that. But it would be very telling, and it'd be very interesting because Netanyahu has said, and a lot of these, Zionists have said that, Iran is going to attack the United States, and Iran is going to attack United States infrastructure, and then all of this is happening. So maybe it's Iran, but who really knows? So take a look at this story.
A grenade-type explosive device was found underwater at Big Creek Lake, the primary drinking water supply for the Mobile area. The Mobile area water and sewer system, MAID, is saying divers found this improvised explosive device while surveying the lake's dam for routine repairs. A multi-agency bomb squad team, including the FBI, Mobile County Sheriff's Office, and state law enforcement, retrieved and safely destroyed it, as you just saw.
Crazy.
MAID says the drinking water supply was not affected. Big Creek Lake is federally designated critical infrastructure, and Homeland Security has been notified. We're trying to find out where the IED
Be careful
came
out
from,
there, ladies and
if
gents.
it's been there for some time, or if investigators think it was placed there. A grenade-type explosive device was found underwater at Big Creek.
Insane, right? At the end of the day, I mean, like, you got to be so careful with whatever you do. This is the country we live in now. Got to watch your back out there. Watch your back. Again, that was kind of interesting, but too long. U.S. Senate Banking Committee approves the Clarity Act in a 15-9 vote. We watched that. We covered a little bit of that. We'll watch 36 seconds of this clip.
Goals. Number one, the bill we are marking up achieves 3 simple goals. Number one, protecting consumers, keeping innovation here at home, and
And I believe this is Tim Scott. I've been very happy with him. He's been very, very, very pro-crypto, and we love that, and I just wanted to commend him for that. I think everybody in Congress today, anybody who's watching this show, you need to be invested in what these people are talking about, because this is going to be the future.
safeguarding U.S. national security. Those are not partisan goals. They are American priorities. Protecting consumers means making sure everyday people come first. It means clear disclosures, safeguards against fraud, and rules that keep markets open, fair, and efficient.
Very good signs.
The bill
very good developments when it comes to crypto. That's probably some of the best news that we've heard in a long time has been in the crypto market. Post from Candace Owens 9 hours ago, only those who worship the Prince of Darkness could be capable of this kind of death and destruction. And again, the original post comes from Omar Hamad. Not a single stone remains standing, nor a tree, nor a human being. Israel has completely annihilated my town, Bey Hanon. Well, that's exactly what is in the Talmud and the Torah. And when they discuss Amalek, and they say, leave no stone unturned, you kill the women, kill the children, kill the animals. I mean, this is literally in the Talmud when they speak of Amalek. And they have called the Palestinian people Amalek. And they've called basically any enemy they've had throughout history, they've called Amalek. Okay? And so you got to read more into that story. But look at this. Imagine if this was your hometown. Wherever you live, whatever the town is called, think about everybody you grew up with your whole life. Think about everybody you knew your whole life. And this is what remains. Imagine. I think about that. I don't know if anybody else does. I think about if this was my hometown. What if this was my hometown? And it's like, wow, that's absolutely terrorism. And if nobody talks against that, then, I will. Like, seriously, this needs to be stopped. There must be peace. There must be justice and accountability on the Israeli people as well for what they have done. Okay? Absolutely decimated. An entire community, an entire people, an entire village gone, city gone. And it's why? Because the United States allowed it to happen. And because we believed that, all of this stuff was acceptable. On a more funny note, I had seen this and this was kind of hilarious. What happens when Elliot Rodgers, if you guys, or Elliot Page, thinking of that crazy shooter guy back in the day. That guy's I just watched a clip on him. Elliot Page replaced Brad Pitt as Achilles, who is, again, supposed to be seen as a superior, like, god of war, basically. He was, like, invincible. Again, just by the Achilles heel, right? Woke Hollywood makes the best unintentional comedy. So, again, this chick who played in, like, Juno and became, like, a transgender male, she's, like, a girl who transitioned to a male or something like that, is now going to play Achilles. Some chick is going to play Achilles. Absolutely insane. So Brad Pitt's character, that awesome scene, they made this clip. I thought it was hilarious. I'll show you the original clip after this. Come on, this is so funny. Seriously, though. How ridiculous is this? Oh boy. Yeah, I don't want to get copyright, but that is just hilarious. That's so funny. Yeah, absolutely unreal. They are replacing Brad Pitt's character. Just go to it real quick. I got to do it. Brad Pitt, Odyssey. Just waiting here. This is the original clip. This is like the real Brad Pitt. So this is why somebody had made that AI of whoever that girl is that's going to play Achilles. How ridiculous. Totally woke Hollywood is just losing it. You can't beat the originals. Like, this is what it's all about. This was awesome. This was the original movie. Dope. Sickness. And that's the original scene. This is like the original scene. And then they replaced him with this Juno, with this Elliot Page. The original scene goes on. This is all purposeful.
Is there no one else?
Elliot Page, I guess. That's the only one left. Oh, man.
Is there no one else?
How ridiculous that they replaced Brad Pitt with some tranny, or whatever she is.
Achilles, son of Peleus.
Such a good movie, such a good scene.
I'll remember the name.
And then Hollywood makes it woke and ruins it. That's just the world we live in. That's the world we live in today, and that's what we have to deal with. That's the world that we live in. Everything is just woke all the time, and that is just the standards now. Again, one more time. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, come on. This is exactly what it's going to be. What a joke. This is just an AI video, but still. Oh, my God. Unreal. So, again, that's Senator Tim Scott basically saying the same thing.
Our goal is to make it easier for you to keep more of your money in your pocket by setting rules of the road for the next iteration in all of our economy, digital assets becoming more popular.
Still laughing at that.
How do we do that? Make sure that consumer protection is first and that innovation follows it. We want the best entrepreneurs in the world coming to America. They need to understand the rules. We're going to set the rules for the entire world.
Just come here legally.
Assets. Today, we take one step closer to being the crypto capital of the world.
Oh, yeah, Tim Scott. Tim Scott. Tim Scott. Covered some of that. This is Nick Shirley. If we tried anything like this in their country of origin, they would literally beat or kill us. Why do we accommodate these people? 100% agree. You got to look at this place.
Yeah, no, I understand. What do you mean am I allowed?
And again, as a police officer, I find this so shameful. Again, as law enforcement, it's like the double standards are unreal. There's just no more men in law enforcement. Like, where's all the men? Where's all the men who are going to be willing to fight against this? Check this out.
To be here. Of course I'm allowed to be here.
No, you're not. Are you Muslim?
No.
This is property for the mosque. It's not for you. It's private property, yes. Tell them.
Okay. So, like, they can kick me off the mosque? Yeah, no, I understand. But I'm just wondering why.
Public side's right there.
All right, I got you. All right, you guys just got kicked off.
So to defend the police officer, yeah, private property, understandable. Anybody can tell you to leave. That is true. Public property and private property, even though we have that freedom of speech, there are laws. You know, private businesses, private establishments, and then private, property. You are allowed to be trespassed off of that property legally. Now, at the same time, it is just like the nerve of the police officers today, the nerve of law enforcement to just like sell out their country and to just always take the side of the foreigner or the immigrant. Again, I have nothing against foreigners or immigrants. I have nothing against all of that. The only thing I have against it is this kind of behavior, the invasive, anti-American, anti-free speech behavior. Just absolutely unacceptable.
Of the mosque property, I guess. Yeah, I just got moved off and they told me I had to come on this side of the sidewalk.
Very simple. Just on the other side of that.
Jeez, so violent.
Just on the other side and you're good, okay? You can do whatever you want.
All right.
Yeah, but you won't act that way with like a real hardcore criminal, though. You know, these cops will be all nice to the criminals. I've seen it my whole life. Yo, I'm sorry, sir. It's okay. You're a graduate. You're a scholar. I know you're an academic. But then when it comes to an innocent guy, an easy prey, they pick him off and they just make their lives hell. Get off the property, and it's all big and bad, tough guy. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's like, come on. As law enforcement myself, so shameful.
We already got kicked off the property of the mosque. It's kind of weird. What do you mean?
Like, again, you could, like, as the police officer, you could have explained that in a way that made sense to the guy. You know, I mean, again, you could have explained in a more calm manner the way that I'm sure he's calm with these Muslims because he's scared and intimidated by them. So he's going to like bend over for them. Absolutely ridiculous. And he might have been Muslim himself also. He did appear to be. At the end of the day, just totally anti-American. The double standard in this country needs to end, needs to stop, or we will lose our country. Period. It's that simple. On to the next slip. The most dangerous problem we have in this moment in this country is the young white men are being radicalized. So check this out.
Subversives like you.
This is in Scotland. This is in Scotland. Some guy said this about the Scottish people.
The most dangerous problem we have in this moment in this country is young white men being radicalized by the far right.
We're actually getting radicalized by ungrateful foreign subversives like you, and we will continue to be radical until people like you are removed from our country.
Totally.
However, as a far right...
Again, if you're going to be an immigrant in a country, one, be there illegally, and two, you should be kissing the ground. You should be, assimilating to the culture, the society. If I moved to Africa, I would assimilate. If I moved to Poland, I would assimilate. If I moved to Ireland, I would assimilate to their ways, to their culture. If I moved to Asia, to China, of course, I would assimilate to their way of life. If I moved to Russia, I would assimilate to their way of life. If I moved to Saudi Arabia, I would abide by their laws. That is just what you do. It is a decent thing to do. It is the right thing to do. I wouldn't go over there trying to conquer their lands because, one, it's just like, it is just very third world of these people to come over here and do that. How disrespectful. There's absolutely no remorse. There's just no sympathy for the actual natives who live in these lands. And then they want to say, oh, well, this is a country of immigrants. And it's like, well, yeah. First of all, Europe was always it was always being invaded by the Muslims for thousands of years specifically. And again, we also had the Jews who had a lot of problems with the Europeans, with the temple being destroyed. And then here in America, we're called a country of immigrants. Well, got news for you. This country started off as white European men. They were Christian Protestants. No matter what your thoughts on Protestantism today, yes, the founding fathers of this country were white Christian Protestants, and overall, they were white European men. And they were, if you can call them immigrants, they were English immigrants. They were Irish immigrants. There were German immigrants. There was Scottish immigrants. Read the book, How the Scots Invented the Modern World. Okay. So yeah, America is a country of immigrants, but it's a country of European immigrants. The Europeans are like the Americans' brothers in many ways, brothers and sisters. We're very we have such a history, and we have very much of the same DNA, same culture. We have the same way of life. We believe in the same things. We started off as Roman Catholics, and here in America, we are still a Roman Catholic country overall, and growing faster than ever before, larger than ever before. So for anybody who said, oh, well, America's a country of immigrants, it's like, not really. This country was a country of Christians, and it started off that way. And the Jews that came over here, eventually came over here, brought over the slaves. They started the slave trade. That's in the Jewish Encyclopedia. And then that is when, America became a melting pot under the Great Replacement, under the clergy plan. All of this was real, and it happened in Europe as well.
Young white man myself, I actually appreciate the fact that you're ironically helping to further radicalise young white men who will see this video by publicly condemning them for being patriotic about their own country that you claim to speak for. So keep slandering young white men who are already the most politically alienated and dispossessed demographic in this country. And FYI, white men are the backbone and the future of this country, but you don't seem to like that, given you're not even Scottish anyway. Scotland is a white country. Our forefathers built and bled for this land. Unlike spiteful parasites like you, who left your own people behind to come and leech off of a superior civilization that your forefathers couldn't even dream of creating.
100%. And the only reason that that's allowed to happen is because of this liberal woke movement and this Zionist movement that has taken over a lot of positions of political power. And then overall, you have this woke liberal movement. Really, all of the people who have been subverted ideologically for the past 10, 20 years. And so they've been made to believe that immigrants are good. And then now all these countries are being flooded by immigrants. And now they're losing their identity. Okay. And it's just happening at an existential rate. I know it's kind of hard to watch some of this stuff, but again, I wouldn't want this for any race. Okay. This isn't just because I'm a white man. This is also because I have sympathy for any country who is being invaded by some other land. Okay. You have the Japanese and the Chinese today who are facing the same problem. Their parliament, the Japanese parliament, is now voting to put in more mosques in Japan. It's completely not the same culture at all. Japan is a very clean, civilized society, very much like the United States. And now you have all these immigrants who are going to go and ruin that and destroy it. And then what you're going to hear in 5-10 years is, well, Japan's really messy. Well, Japan was never a clean country. Japan, I can't go there. It's not safe there. It's well, yeah, because of these illegal immigrants and these foreigners, unfortunately. They've failed or refused to assimilate to the culture of all of these different countries that they're flooding into. These Somalians are doing it, the Indians, the Arabs, and the Arabs at least have an excuse because they are being bombed by Israel. Okay, I can understand the viewpoint and the psychology of the Arabs at least, but all of these other cultures, just absolutely unacceptable. You have these Pakistanis, these Indians, you have these, these Somalis, you have all these different races that are completely third world, no offense, but you have these Haitians and all these different countries that are third world countries moving into these developed first world countries who have thousands and thousands and thousands of years of ancestral heritage. The Scottish people, the Irish people, thousands and thousands of years, okay, of conquering and also, protecting and defending their own land, okay? So it's absolutely unreal on what we're seeing today. So again, this is true as well.
Trying to lower testosterone in men so that men just came out in the Epstein files that the elites were purposely trying to lower testosterone in men so that men can't fight back, putting estrogen in the water, making men very passive and weak through social media. They're telling them, oh, your masculinity is toxic and you should actually just be super soft and sweet all the time and gentle and never fight against anything. It's to cover up the things that they're doing. Because if every single man had the mindset of, no, our job is to protect women and children no matter what, they would not be getting away with the things that they're getting away with.
And all I know is I'm never going to be a victim to that. I've always known what was going on. I was always engaged in the fight. I was always engaged in the info war, and I never lost sight of the track. I never lost track of the fact that these politicians, and not just the politicians, but these bureaucrats and these elites, these globalists, these Zionists, they have been trying to destroy the motivated man, the man who could truly change his country, impact his country, and make a real difference. You know, and this is what they're trying to do all over the world. And it's just like you should really just absolutely never accept it. Never accept it as a man. You must fight until you die, until your last breath. And if you're not willing to, then you're a coward. Everything in this life is a fight. My whole life has been a fight. I'll never give up. And these people will never take me down. And I'll never go down without a fight. I will be the last one standing if that's what it takes. And, you know, it's unacceptable. These people need to be fought. And they will be fought, and they will be destroyed. All of these men who are trying to destroy men, they will be destroyed first. Make no mistake about it. And they will destroy themselves, most likely. Going on. We watched a little bit of that already. This was kind of cool. Navy SEAL Andrew Arabido on the left and fellow SEAL Team 1 operator during the GWOT on the right. Pretty cool. These guys are just so badass. Love these dudes. Navy SEALs. Megyn Kelly called out CBS for editing Netanyahu's interview to protect him. They cut his claim that questioning Israel means you hate America. They cut his attacks on Americans. Why? Because it would make him look bad. CBS is sanitizing Israeli propaganda.
Well, they're doing it.
And again, I just said this earlier, that Israel is losing the propaganda war, so they feel the need to do this to the Americans and the American media.
Last night, these two moments from the last two sound bites, they were shortened, they were combined as if they happened back to back. You know, with the phone. Now, they didn't include the comment about how Israel will be fighting back. They teased that they will use the same tactics to fight fire with fire on the social media front. Well, they're doing it. Okay, they're doing that. Bibi said it several times throughout the full interview, but none of that made the broadcast version. So why didn't that go in there? Why?
Propaganda war.
There were also several references by Netanyahu to the Americans turning against Israel, saying that they also hate America. Oh, they do? Okay. So according to Netanyahu, if you are against Israel and its tactics militarily,
she said it.
You hate your own country.
She said it perfectly.
You hate America. This is a talking point we've seen from the prominent pro-Israel media voices in the past few weeks. It seems to be like a new favorite. All of those references were cut from the broadcast version of the interview. Why? Why did Barry Weiss and her CBS...
She owns CBS. Well, she owns CBS.
From the interview of Netanyahu, all the references...
Barry Weiss is Jewish, by the way, if you didn't know that.
By Netanyahu attacking Americans who have questions about Israel as anti-American. Is it possible they believed that might make him look bad and further alienate Americans?
Absolutely. That's 100% exactly what happened. 100%. This is Trump's former Homeland Security COS, Miles Taylor. White House has a secret catalog of pre-drafted executive orders that would allow Trump to do extraordinary things like effectively invoking the martial law. So check this out.
A former official from Donald Trump's first term is this from May 8th. Ex-Trump official sounds alarm on doomsday plot White House can exploit. A former official offered a chilling warning of what President Donald Trump could do if he enacts a secret catalog of Cold War-era executive orders. A former official from Donald Trump's first term is sounding the alarm of about a so-called doomsday book that could deliver the president unprecedented power if he acts upon it. Miles Taylor, who resigned as Homeland Secretary's chief of staff in 2019, writes that the White House has a secret catalog of pre-drafted executive orders that, if enacted, would allow Trump to do extraordinary things like effectively invoking martial law.
The thing is, Trump would never do it. He had a chance to do it during the Minneapolis protests and these, with the illegal deportations. We had a taco. We had a Trump always chickens out moment, a taco. And at the end of the day, I mean, will Trump ever really use it? We've had all this time to use it against Fauci and Bill Gates, or is he going to use it against the American people, his own voters, essentially?
The book dates back to Dwight D. Eisenhower's administration, which developed so-called PEADs, Presidential Emergency Action Documents, and gathered them into a single instructional book only to be opened in an extreme scenario such as a nuclear attack on Washington. The manual was written amid the Cold War with the understanding it should be opened only in an emergency that threatened the future of the United States. However, Taylor writes for the iPaper that there's a real fear in Washington that Trump may misuse these executive orders. The Brennan Center for Justice revealed in 2024 that the secret PADS would grant a president power to detain civilians, suspend communications, censor the press, establish military areas, and freeze or seize property, all with a stroke of a pen.
That would have been great if he applied it to, again, the globalists, the Zionists. I mean, that would be great if he used it against them. But, you know, again, for national security purposes, but we have a president who appears to be, you know, doing the reverse opposite of this. And so this is the big concern with this. Is he going to use this against his own voter base? Is he going to use this against anybody who questions the state of Israel and this war?
Again, this would be the type of thing that, you know, in 2020, we would have celebrated Donald Trump using to crack down on the nightly riots across the entire country by Black Lives Matter. Didn't do that and didn't feel the need to put a stop to any of that. However, what is the likelihood that he invokes something like this or, you know, invokes some of these measures in the name of Israel for the state of Israel, perhaps after a false flag attack?
Exactly.
Either an so-called anti-Semitic one, where he says, "Oh, this is crazy. We have to shut down the whole country," or an attack by Iran or whoever else. He has these powers in hand. And of course, when I first heard this, my comment was, he's just waiting for Palantir to get fully installed, right? Palantir is integrating itself into our healthcare and into our welfare system, and
Palantir is already using the Maven, smart software for targeting, and they used it on the Palestinians and they used it on the Lebanese people.
Into bank transactions and being used by the IRS and just absolutely everybody. And it, of course, is the control system who the people that run it can't help themselves but constantly brag about, and sort of they're like vibrating with excitement about the idea that they get to just like kill people with the click of a button, anybody who opposes them. And of course, we know that in Israel, merely disagreeing with them is seen as valid reason to exterminate somebody. How often have we pointed out, and have you seen Israeli officials in a house where the entire family has been killed, holding up a copy of something like Mein Kampf and saying, "Do you see why we did this? Do you see why this was a good thing that we did? Do you see why this is justified now that we killed this whole family?" They think bad thoughts. They don't like us. So of course we had to kill them. So that mindset is what's insinuating itself here in America, where if you merely disagree, or if you point out the inconsistencies, or if you illustrate the very connections I'm now elaborating, you're seen not only as anti-Semitic and anti-Israel and a dangerous domestic terrorist, but, worthy of execution.
But it's also important to note that 65-70% of Americans have a disfavorable view on Israel. So the majority of Americans are completely against the Iran war and completely against the state of Israel, the apartheid state of Israel, the Zionist sect of Israel, not all Jews, the Zionist sect of Israel being specific here. And, that is the real issue here. So basically the majority of Americans are going to be completely squeezed into never being allowed to talk, completely, literally strangled in regards to freedom of speech.
And there's a very real, threat of the people in power here in America invoking this sort of thing, since they are the very same people in many cases who are doing it already in Israel. And just understand that when it comes to Israel, as an American, white Christian person, you land on the Palestine line of that dichotomy, according to the people in Israel, right?
Yes.
You might
like
fact. What Israel's doing. You might, be in support of them. But if you're not one of them, then you're one of us, okay? You're one of the Palestinians. You're one of the outsiders.
Goyim.
Do you see how they treat them?
That's what they call us. That's what they call every non-Jew, the Goyim. And that is why this is such a critical issue in this country. We need to realize that this is a national security threat. This is funny. Elon records tourism videos with 360-degree spins while everyone is serious in front of the Chinese diplomats. I mean, this is why Trump was kicked out. This is why Elon was kicked out of Doge. You just see how different he is from the rest. Look at that aura, though. Elon Musk is a total meme. I'm not a huge fan of Elon, you know. I mean, like, he's done some brown things, but at the same time, it's like he's better than the rest of them. And we need to have Doge back also. You know, Doge was a very productive and positive program, and we were getting things done with it. And then as soon as we were actually about to physically cut the spending, everything ended, and you saw the black eye with Elon. Just really bad, not good. Sinister truth behind the UK's digital ID push. Running low on time here. Meanwhile, in the UK, footage shows a migrant taking his SIA security license test with AirPods in, whilst his migrant friends is literally in the next room telling him the answers. The next time you are in the shopping center and all security guards are migrants, remember that most of them are completely unqualified. And this is why. Look at this.
POV, you want to get your security badge.
And then here in the other room, these guys are giving them the answers. No respect. And honestly, surprising to believe that any government would be dumb enough to not catch this or see this. You want to know why? It's because the people who are running these classes are complete and total woke liberals, and that's why they couldn't care less about any of this happening. They probably even know that they're cheating on these exams, and they're so soft and woke that they're going to do nothing about it. And they're also probably scared of these people, and so they're going to just give them whatever they want. No fight, no backbone. Let them just walk all over your country and, cheat on tests, get licensure that they don't deserve, that they have no idea what they're doing on. We cannot let this migrant invasion continue. I am not a racist. Just to be very clear, I am not a racist. I don't see myself as a racist. I don't see myself as, hateful towards any race. What I'm talking about here is a national security issue, and this is a national security issue. This is horrible. This is in the UK. This is how lost the UK is. This is why they are going to lose their country if they don't fight back against this. Same with America, by the way. Same things are happening here. We are the same country.
Serious college, bro.
We are in the same position. This is happening in Minneapolis, Portland, Seattle. This is happening Los Angeles, Austin, Texas now. It's happening everywhere. New York City, with Mamdani's city. Unreal. Unbelievable. Again, I'm not a racist. I'm just outlining the things that are just clearly wrong and that we can never allow to happen in the United States, even though a lot of this is already happening now. The AutoPen scribble is not a legit pardon for Fauci.
What happened at the hearing today?
What's your top line?
The top line is that there was a scientific consensus at the CIA that the virus came out of the lab, that there was a lab leak. Anthony Fauci intervened in 2021, and at his behest, it seems like the CIA changed their conclusion. Internally, their scientists were concluding that it came from the lab. After Anthony Fauci came in, he influenced their higher-ups to overturn.
And Anthony Fauci is still walking the streets. Dr. Fauci, who was the Anthony Fauci who told you to get 3 vaccines because if you don't care about people. And then later came out in the emails and even admitted that the masks actually don't work and that the masks aren't really good for you and that you shouldn't be wearing them. And then even though it was in the emails, nobody really cared. Like literally, that's what happened.
The idea that it came from the lab, I think that's a pretty serious,
crime,
breach of protocol, and shows that there was a conflict of interest from early on.
Conflict of interest. It's completely treason. He killed millions of people with his little experimental vaccine with this entire COVID agenda.
Testimony that we heard about the extent of the cover-up within the CIA and Dr. Anthony Fauci's role in all of this. What is your next move?
We're continuing to interview people. We're continuing to look at documents. There's more news to come. We're going to have something next week that also has to do with these conflicts of interest.
Is there anything that can be done regarding Anthony Fauci, given the fact that the DOJ
No, there's nothing we can do. We're going to look into it. We're going to ask questions, okay? We're going to ask questions, okay? Like these congressmen literally remind me of Mr. Mackey from South Park. We're going to ask questions, okay? We're going to do what we can, okay? But there's not much that we can do, okay?
now not, pursued that 5-year statute of limitations?
The 5-year statute of limitations would also apply to a July testimony, so there are a few more months on him lying to Congress. There's also
nothing's going to be done.
Question of
unless the American people do something.
Destroying records, destroying emails, encouraging others to destroy emails, which is against the law. There's also the question, conspiracy charges have been filed against David Morenz, who was a longtime lieutenant of Anthony Fauci. But there's always the overhanging question of the pardon. We've never had a pardon challenged before that I know of being successful, but we've also never had a pardon that was given for 10 years for unspecified crimes. So that really is, something that I think is and should be questioned. The other question is whether or not
they always say that. That's when you know nothing's going to happen. That's when you know nothing is going to happen. When you hear these politicians say, yeah, they need to be questioned. They need to be questioned, okay? And we're going to ask them a lot of questions on it, okay? And then nothing ends up happening.
Pardon somebody if the president really never was conscious of the person he was pardoning and it was done by an auto pen. So there are a lot of questions, and I've sent several criminal referrals, on Anthony Fauci, and I hope they will be pursued. At this time,
it's up to Trump at the end of the day, and he chose to do nothing. That's my issue with Trump. Bill Gates is not in prison. Fauci's not in prison.
Mr. Erdman. So one thing that I will say
is
his
that.
Testimony, I think,
He
clarified a lot of suspicions and information that was already in the public sphere about COVID origin. One thing that he did touch upon today, though, was individuals from the intelligence community who were assigned to Director Gabbard's Directors Initiative Group to investigate various issues with the intelligence agencies. There has been obstruction by those intelligence agencies.
Yeah, there has been.
Those individuals from being able to conduct their investigation. So I hope that my client's testimony today encourages more whistleblowers to come forward. And thank you for.
Is your client worried about retaliation?
So unfortunately, yes, and unfortunately, that's the only comment that I have. So thank you. I do.
That's the only comment that I have. We're not going to do anything about it. People need to just be okay with that. Again, another pretty sad clip. I guess we'll cover a lot of this information tomorrow. Since we're coming up on the end of the show, we will mark this and we'll start with this clip tomorrow. But with that being said, that's all the news we have for today. What do you guys think about all of this? Honestly, it's quite sad to see, isn't it? But at the same time, a lot of good things too. We have the Clarity Act that's coming that's going to be good for crypto if the Senate passes it. Obviously, we'll see if there's any kind of weird activity. We're going to cover it all. Maybe we'll start hopping on a little bit more during the week, perhaps. But we'll be back Monday talking about a lot of it. Any kind of updates that happen, we'll cover it on Monday. And ultimately, we also have this war with Iran. I think that's going to continue going. And I also think that this Israeli war, they're not going to stop anytime soon. And at the same time, we also have to be very diligent and focused on the real mission of America first and making this country safe and free and independent again. And we need to be innovative again. And crypto is going to be a big part of that. Who knows what's going to happen with these AI data centers? Who knows what's going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz? It's looking like this war, Iran right now, just due to the fact that America has not been able to complete a lot of the objectives that they originally set out to achieve, Iran has technically won the war in some ways at this current time. And so we'll see what happens with China and any kind of negotiations. I imagine that there will be future negotiations between President Xi and the Iranian IRGC, and we will probably hear more about that, but we'll cover it all on Monday. And so with that being said, I have nothing else. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Stay prudent, stay powerful, stay wealthy, and of course, stay safe. I'll see you next time.